The reason you still feel like a fraud, even after you've achieved massive success, isn't a lack of confidence. It's a neurological delay between your current results and your outdated internal map. We'll show you the 3-step system for identity lag to finally sync your self-image with the person you've already become. You know, this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of that nagging feeling, the one where you're just waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, "We know you don't belong here." But what if I told you that feeling isn't a personal failure? It's not that you lack confidence. It's actually a predictable, almost mechanical glitch in your brain's operating system, like a software update that just failed to install. And we've got a name for this glitch: identity lag. Now, I think this is a way better term than imposter syndrome. Why? Well, a syndrome sounds like some chronic disease you're just stuck with forever. But a lag? A lag is a system problem. It's a delay. And the great thing about a delay is you can fix it. This isn't about your feelings, it's about a mismatch between your internal data and the external facts. And today, we're gonna show you the exact protocol to force that system update. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're gonna unpack this outdated internal map you're walking around with. Then we'll dive into your brain's conservative code, the reason it fights so hard against change. After that, we get to the good stuff, the 3-part system to fix it all. We'll run an evidence audit, anchor our new identity, and then finally, we'll look at what it feels like to operate in full sync. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, the outdated map. I want you to think of your brain as a really, really conservative map maker. Its #1 job is to keep you safe by drawing a map of you, what you're good at, where you belong, all of it. The only problem is your brain absolutely loves its old maps. They're familiar, they're tested, so it trusts them, even when the entire landscape of your life has dramatically changed. And this slide just lays out that disconnect perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have the outdated map. It might still see you with your old job title, at your past skill level. It whispers things like, "You just got lucky." But then you look at your current reality. You're in a new leadership role, you've achieved mastery in your field, and the data clearly shows you earned this. That gap right there, that's the source of all the friction you feel every single day. So you have to wonder, why is the brain so stubborn? Why does it cling so tightly to this older, less capable version of you? Well, let's peel back the layers and look at the neurology. This isn't some bug in your system. It's actually an evolutionary feature, one that's really outlived its usefulness for ambitious people like you. The main culprit here is something called consistency bias. You see, for thousands and thousands of years, our survival depended on being predictable. If your tribe knew who you were and what you were about, you were safe. So our brains developed this incredibly powerful preference for a stable identity. The crazy part is, to your ancient wiring, any change, even a huge promotion or a massive success, gets flagged as a potential risk. It messes with the stable map, and a little alarm bell starts ringing inside. And what that creates is this civil war inside your head. On one side, you've got your prefrontal cortex, the logical, modern part of your brain. It sees the evidence clear as day: the promotion, the successful project, the new income. But on the other side, you've got the basal ganglia. This is an older part of the brain, and it's basically running old software. The you from 5 years ago program is still on autopilot. This clash between what you know is true and what you feel is true creates a state we call identity dissonance. And your brain absolutely hates dissonance. It sees this internal conflict as a threat, which tells your amygdala to pump out the stress hormone cortisol. And what's the result? You hesitate in a meeting when you know the answer. You over-explain your decisions. You constantly feel like you have to prove yourself. That's not a character flaw. It's a biological threat response. Now here's the really crucial part. Living with this identity dissonance comes at a huge cognitive cost. We call it the imposter tax. Think of your working memory, your mental RAM, as a finite resource. A massive chunk of that precious resource is being burned up every day by the effort of acting the part. Instead of using that brain power to create, to innovate, to solve problems, you're just wasting it, trying to manage this internal conflict. It's an exhausting tax on your true potential. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a neurological lag, and it creates a massive cognitive tax. So how in the world do we fix it? Let's move on to the first and honestly the most important part of the solution, the evidence audit. This is where we stop arguing with our feelings and we start building an airtight, logical case against our old self. This is the question we have to answer. See, that old part of your brain, the basal ganglia, it isn't moved by motivational quotes or wishful thinking. It's a primitive system. It responds to two things: hard data and repeated action. So we have to feed it undeniable proof that its old map is just wrong. The audit itself is a straightforward two-step process. Step 1 is data extraction. And I want to be clear, this is not about journaling your feelings. This is you acting like a forensic accountant for your own success. You are actively listing the cold, hard, undeniable facts of your accomplishments. Step 2 is fact analysis. This is where you consciously take that list of facts and you use it to systematically dismantle the old, outdated story that's been running on a loop in your head. And we need to be really, really clear about what counts as hard proof. Vague stuff like, I'm a hard worker, totally useless here. The proof has to be specific. Not, I'm good at my job, but I successfully managed 15 complex projects this year. It has to be undeniable, like, I grew revenue in my department by 30%. It has to be factual, data, metrics, titles. And here's the kicker. It must be evidence that the old you, the version of you your brain is still stuck on, could not have produced. This quote just nails it. When one of your wins stays in your emotional account, your brain can just brush it off. It'll say, oh, that was just luck, or anyone could have done that. But when you move it to the analytical account by writing it down as a specific factual data point, it becomes undeniable. You're basically giving your logical brain the ammunition it needs to finally win the argument against that primitive, outdated part of your brain. So why does this actually work so well? Well, it's grounded in a core principle from psychology called self-perception theory. The theory basically says that we don't really figure out who we are by staring at the ceiling and thinking deep thoughts. Instead, we figure out who we are by observing our own actions and their results, just like we would if we were watching someone else. So by doing an evidence audit, you are forcing your brain to observe your own competent behavior, which in turn forces it to update its perception of who you are. Pretty cool, right? Okay, the audit builds the case. It gives us the raw materials, but it's not enough on its own. Now we have to actually hardwire this new identity into your brain. So let's move on to the final two steps of the protocol, where we're going to anchor this new identity and then embody it through action. This slide shows the huge difference between a useless affirmation and a powerful identity anchor. Just saying, I am confident over and over, it's like shouting into the wind. Your brain has no data to hook onto, so it just ignores it. But an evidence-based anchor is totally different. You state the new identity, and you immediately connect it to your proof. I am a capable leader because I successfully managed 15 projects this year. That little word, because, that is the magic ingredient. It ties the identity to a fact, making it neurologically sticky. And here is the really cool neuroscience behind what's happening. When you repeatedly link your new identity to that hard evidence, you trigger a process called long-term potentiation, or LTP. This literally physically strengthens the connections between the brain cells that make up the neural network of your new self. You've heard the saying, neurons that fire together, wire together? Well, this is it in action. You are actively rewiring your brain to make this new identity the default pathway. And the final step is to lock it all in with action. Your brain needs one last piece of proof. It needs to see you act like this new person. We call this behavioral embodiment. All you have to do is identify one small, concrete action that the old version of you would have shied away from. So instead of hesitating in that meeting, you make a point to state your opinion first. Instead of over-explaining a simple decision, you make a direct request. This identity-proof action is like the final handshake that seals the deal, confirming for your brain that the system update is complete. So what does it actually feel like when this is all done? What's the payoff for finally getting your internal map to match the real-world terrain? Well, this is where everything starts to change. This chart just visualizes the transformation so perfectly. Before, with the identity lag, you see that huge chunk of your cognitive energy being drained away by the imposter tax. But once you're in sync, that tax just vanishes. All of that mental bandwidth gets reallocated to what really matters: productive focus, creativity, strategic thinking. Your belief in your own ability skyrockets because it's finally aligned with your actual ability. And you start to experience what's called the winner effect, where every success makes the next one feel even more certain. So let's do a super quick recap of the whole system. Number 1, the evidence audit. You build an undeniable case against your old self using cold, hard facts. Number 2, the identity anchor. You create a new evidence-based identity statement that your brain simply cannot argue with. And number 3, behavioral embodiment. You take one concrete action to prove to your brain that the update is complete, and you are now operating as this new you. And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. True high-level productivity isn't about grinding harder or trying to force yourself to feel more confident. It's about mastering your internal systems. When you finally close that identity lag, you get rid of the cognitive friction that's been holding you back. You stop wasting energy fighting yourself, and you start investing all of it in your work, your goals, and your growth. You make focus and success feel effortless because you're finally fully in sync with the person you've already worked so hard to become.